Hi everybody, this is Grant Evanishin here. I'm teaching foundations class, air conditioning, and I'm hoping to give you some ideas of some spots where you can go to look for connections, where the components are on all sorts of different types of vehicles. I'm hoping this video will give you some ideas of where to look so you don't go out and can't figure out how to hook up to actually check a system. So I'm going to be pausing and going forwards and see if we can get this information to you. This is a Western Star with an air conditioning system on it. It's been sitting in the shop for a while. That looks like a fairly new air conditioning compressor with one belt on it, and it's got a sensor on that. This is on the steering side of the vehicle, we can see. So we'll go around to the other side and give you a rundown of the rest of the air conditioning system. The air conditioning system has a condenser in the front of the rad. This is in front of the air-to-air. You can see it's an air-to-air coming out. And then that's the heat exchanger that takes the pressurized refrigerant and tries to release some of the heat out of it so that it can be brought back in. Then we come back here, you can see that that condenser has a hose missing and runs along from the rad up. And this is where a lot of the components for the air conditioning system are. In a Western Star, you can see this is an air-operated heater control valve that we'll talk about later. You also have an expansion valve right there, and then the red and the blue caps on that those lines, which you can hook your gauges up to figure out how the system's running and what the pressures are in the system. On the right-hand side is the receiver dryer, and that will have desiccant in it to dry all the refrigerant as it goes through, and so that's a fairly easy system to work on. I'm basically just leaning on the tire, and you can see it's very easy to get to. So this is Craig's car. It's a Soul, and you can see it's got a little engine in it. We're going to be looking at the air conditioning in this system too. I'm going to need a flashlight. So if we were to look down right there, that is the air conditioning compressor pulley. You see those three bolts down in that, they run on that serpentine belt. And if that front plate, which is attached to the crankshaft of the compressor, is turning, it is locked to the pulley and is turned by the engine, turning the belt, turning the pulley. Okay, so our compressor is way down the bottom of this. It would be handy to have this thing on the hoist to actually change that compressor. Okay, if you look up to the bottom on the right of this screen, you can see there's also a pressure sensor there that will help cut in and out the system or operate the fan. Now if we go to the back of the engine, we can look and see, this takes a little work. Okay, those are two lines, and that is one of the connectors that you would hook the gauge up to test this system. So it's down in the back up by the firewall. Okay, so another one would be right near the compressor, or the condenser I should say, and it is right there. That is the condenser pressure sensor right there, the high pressure sensor, and we can hit that with the gauges as well. This is the D4K that's in the shop, and just going to show you where the air conditioning compressor is for this. The front pad of it looks a little different than normal. It has that pad when it locks by a magnetic clutch to the compressor crankshaft. We'll start that going, and right off the back of the compressor is the high and the low service connectors, right? And so we can hook our gauges up there, get a reading, those go up into the cab, and that's how this system works. It's a little different looking, but still the very same system. This is the Cat skid steer. The air conditioning on this, the compressor is right at the back, or sorry, I should say at the front of the engine, but at the back of the machine. We've got the door open to the machine here, and that's our magnetic clutch right there, and the belt turns the pulley, and the pulley, when it locks to that clutch, will turn the crankshaft of the compressor and pump our refrigerant. The refrigerant, if you follow it through, actually travels beside the engine, then back up And that's our condenser in the back, which isn't near our rad, which is right up above us here, right? So that's our main fan. So this has a different system by having that condenser right at the back of the cab itself. Skid steer has the cab up. I shouldn't say the cab, but the seat and everything up, the cage, and so that's so we can access the air conditioning connectors if we wanted to talk to it or to figure out what those pressures are. So you can see down below the seat is where you hook the air conditioning lines to. So you can put your gauges on, or to do evacuation, recovery, recharging, down